Hi there, welcome back. I don't know what that was, but anyways, I'm going to be creating this bronzy smoky eye with actually the 35S palette, which has all the blues and pinks. It's Morphe's new, or one of their new palettes. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to show the versatility of the palette. This eye started watering for some reason, but anyways, I'm just gonna jump straight into the video because I don't have a whole lot to say beforehand. I am gonna try to fix this eye where I kind of had a mishap, but other than that, everything's good. And I am going to get into the video. Thanks. Alright, so today we're jumping into the 35S palette. And I'm just looking for a blending brush to start to deepen up my crease. And this palette's a little bit different than the other palettes. I'm using an Morphe M504. And I'm just going to dip in this color right here and start using that to buffen the crease. And I was so not expecting it to have this much pigment, but of course they're Morphe shadows, so they do. And I really like the way that it is blending on my eye. Very satisfying. Just dipping back into that color, creating the same effect on my other eye. And you'll see that I'm dipping in a couple times just to really darken up that color. So I'm just dipping back and forth into that shade, and I'm going to keep buffing it into my crease until it is as smoky and blown out as I want it. Now I'm going to take the shade up here to blend out the edges and just make sure everything looks seamless, that there's no harsh lines, all that good stuff. So now I'm just dipping into this dark brown shade, and I'm going to focus this on the outer corner of my eye, just buffing it in as flawlessly as possible and repeating the process on the other eye as soon as this eye is as dark as I want it in that corner. Now I'm just taking an extra brush with no product on it and just blending out those edges even more, because you can never blend too much. Well, actually you can, but you know what I mean. Right, so now I'm just spritzing my brush with some setting spray before I go into one of the shimmers. And I ended up going with this golden one right here that I was going to put in like the middle 2/3 of my lid because I want to save the inner corner for a lighter shimmer. So as you'll see, the wet brush really helped bring out the just the really high pigmentation of this palette. I feel like the wet brush is the best way to go. Unless you don't have nails, of course. Right now I don't have nails, so I can use my fingers, but I'm just blending along those lines to make sure that that shimmer shade is flowing flawlessly with everything else. Spritzing a little bit more on a different brush, I'm going to take this shade up here, and it's a very light, like champagne shade. And I'm just going to put that in the inner corners of my eyes, right alongside the gold shimmer. And you'll see that now I'm using my finger to tap in that shimmer shade. I just felt like I would get better pigmentation that way, and I wanted to see how it worked. Alright, and now I'm just using a brush with no product to blend out those edges again, make sure everything looks good. And just tapping on more of that gold shade, and I'm also gonna go back into that lighter shimmer shade to really like kind of brighten up the inner third of my eye. And here's me just tapping on my shadows. And anyways, that gold shade especially left me with a lot of fallout, so here's me just taking a makeup wipe and wiping off all that fallout so that when I do my foundation, my skin's a little more flawless. Don't want to look gold under the eyes. Caffeine break. Alright, so my liner and lashes are already on, and I'm dipping into the Touch of Soul Icy Sherbet Primer. This is what I'm going to be using to adhere my foundation as best as possible. And I've tried this one other time and I really liked how it worked. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it again because honestly I love the way that it feels to blend in this primer. It's just super nice. Oh my gosh, I am so tired. Taking the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and it takes about 3 pumps to cover my entire face. I found that that's the perfect amount. So I like to start from the bottom, just start blending upwards on one side, and then do the same on the opposite. So now I'm taking the Wet n Wild Megalast Incognito concealer. This is actually a new product, I believe. I totally forgot that I actually did use a new product in this video. I thought I didn't, but I totally forgot about this concealer, so I'm just going to try it on top of any foundation that I'm familiar with. That way I know how this concealer wears and how it does. So I'm just blending that in right now. So I'm going to use the Coty Airspun translucent powder as always to set my under eyes and to set my whole face. So I'm just going into my under eyes first using that slanted blending brush from Morphe. I find that it's the perfect shape and size to set your under eye concealer, and I'm just going in with the big fluffy powder brush from Morphe and going to tap off the excess, of course, and then just set my whole face. That way the products on top that are powder are going to blend seamlessly on top of this. Just going in with my Hoola bronzer from Benefit, and I'm going to take this on a small kind of face blending brush, and I'm going to start carving out my cheeks and applying a little bit to my forehead to make it look a little smaller. And I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the process on both sides. for blush, I'm going to use this Sephora collection blush in the shade Love Child, and I'm just going to be applying this to the apples of my cheeks. And I don't know why I spent so long trying to make you guys see the shade color on the back of the packaging, because I know that it shows up backwards, but I do try to kind of show what the product is and everything. That way you can still get an idea of it. Alright, and now I'm just using my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara to meld my natural lashes in with the falsies. And if you're wondering what lashes I'm wearing, I actually got these off Amazon. They were like a Chinese brand, but honestly, I feel like they're just as, like the quality is just as good as any normal lash that I would buy from like Ulta or Target. Alright, so now I'm taking that brown shade I initially used, and I'm going to use that to kind of like stamp out my lower lash line, and then also kind of blend it out a little bit because this brush is a little bit fluffy. So I'm just trying to smoke out the lower lash line so it looks cohesive with what's on top of my lids. And I'm taking an extra little blending brush and just making sure that it looks super blended and seamless underneath as well. Alright, so now I'm taking this shade up here and I'm going to use this as my highlights, not only for my inner corner. As you see, I'm placing it in my inner corner, and I'm also going to use this as my face highlight today too. All done with the palette, and I realized I forgot to put mascara on my lower lashes, but I think just adding the smokiness from the shadow was more than enough. So anyways, now I'm just taking the foundation off my lips so I can get them ready, and I'm going in with my Noonie Apple Mint Lip Oil. That's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be applying about 2 coats of that just to really moisturize those lips. And then next, just showing you the product, but after that I actually went in with a Buxom plumping gloss. I don't remember what shade this is, but I will put it down below. And let's see, just applying that, and I love the way that these feel because they're very plumping and cooling. They have a really nice effect to them, and I just think that the color I chose was beautiful and totally went with the eye look. Now I'm just spritzing myself with some Maven Rosewater Setting Spray and completing the look. And here it is. I love it. Right, so here's the final look. Ignore my messy bun. My eye is starting to water for some reason. I'm just gonna ignore it, but I've used this palette before, but I created like a really blue eye, and I think I'm gonna film that next time I use the 35S Sweet Oasis palette. But anyways, I'm really happy with how the shadows performed and everything. I'm happy with the way that this came together. I think that I do look very dewy and glowy without like overly oily. So honestly, I loved everything I used today. I will put all the products in the description below. And thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you would like. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks.